Hi. So the other day, somebody asked me, how do I make a bass video for YouTube? And I was like, it's complicated. Do you have a camera? And do you have a audio interface? Do you have software? It's a lot of things that you got to coordinate. So I thought it might be fun to just make a video about myself making a video, which is going to be the most technically challenging thing I've done so far. But I made notes, and I'm hoping I can just follow the roadmap that I've laid out. So the first thing it says is I got to do some clapping for sync so that I can sync the sound between like this mic and then the camera and the other camera. Okay, so just clap, right? And sometimes a little bit of mouth noise helps, like those like short little percussive things make sharp spikes that you can see easy to line up when you're doing the sound after. So let's talk about the lighting first, because that's kind of one of the harder things, at least it was for me to figure out, and I'm still not sure if I got it right. But I've got my other camera here, and I'm just going to aim it. Whoops. I'm going to aim it at that light. So I've got like an LED panel up in the corner. That's my key light. And here is the camera that I'm filming myself with. And I'm filming myself filming myself. And then over to my left is just like a lamp. And it's set to just a daylight. And it's actually very low. It's hard to tell. It looks like it's really bright, but it's actually really not that bright. And it's just an ambient light. And then behind me, I've got another light. It's my hair light or backlight. So it's just aimed down behind me from way up high. Okay, so the next thing is the microphone and DI. So the microphone is plugged straight into my Apollo interface as well as the bass. So I'm now going to film that. So I got to zoom in here. So you can see the meter running for my voice, and then that's the bass and my voice beside each other going into that interface to record into Logic. For screen capture, this is a whole other thing. I'm using a program called OBS, which when we look at that, it looks all crazy. So it's the screen recording itself into itself repeatedly. But when you hide that in the background, it just records the screen. But the trick with it is the Apple computer doesn't want to let you record the sound out of an app into OBS or into anything. It won't route the sound in the background. You have to get a third-party app to do that. And I'm using something called Loopback. So Loopback is made by Rogue Amoeba, and it allows me to have Logic now going out through the background into OBS, and you can see in OBS the meter working on my voice here. This is very important. That's all the technical stuff. And now I'm going to pretend to film a bass video, probably pretty short, that we're going to use to edit this footage, and we can look at the details of how that works. So this is just like a blues bass line. One of the ones my dad taught me when I was a kid. A song called Chicken Shack. Okay, so now we're ready to do some editing. And the first thing I'm going to show you is just how I sync the sound between the computer and the outside world. So I'm just going to walk over here with my handy handheld, And this is my Zoom H6 recorder, and it has onboard mics that record just the sound of my voice in the room. And it has input 1 and 2 here. And they're coming out of the computer on a mirrored output from my Apollo. So that way, anything that happens in the computer gets recorded into here at the same time as the sound of my voice. So these are going to be together, and we can reference them when we're doing the sound mixing. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is just look at the organization of the files on the computer. So I've already gone ahead and imported from the camera and the other camera, and they are now in a folder called Video Projects that's called How to Make a YouTube Video. So I've got, this is camera 1, and this is the screen capture is also here. And then this is camera 2. And also I made a Logic session that's going to be where we're going to put everything together. So let's just go to that now, I think. Put everything, let's open that. So here's my template, and I should probably show you firstly how I get the audio out of Final Cut. So here's Final Cut, and here is the screen capture, and what we need to do is export the audio from that. So you go share, and then export file, and audio only, and then do it. I've already done this because I screwed up my last take. I did this for both the screen capture and the face cam, which is, I think, this one. Yeah, there's me with my bass. So the audio from these has been exported, and we're just going to use those for syncing purposes and audio mixing purposes. So now that we know that, I'm just going to import my audio sync, which is this one. It also was the wrong sample rate. When I first pulled it in, it was at 48, and then it converted it to, it was playing back at 44.1 for some reason. So I had to convert the sample rate. So if your audio starts playing back and it sounds really like slow and the pitch is lower, that's usually what the problem is. So now I'm importing the screen cap audio, and now we just need to sync everything, which I think I may have done some of that already too in my last attempt. So let's just see here. So we're going to zoom right in. So what we would need to do firstly is grab the two tracks that were recorded live off the floor, which is the SM7 mic and the input from the bass. And now I can move them around. So I'm gonna lock the audio sync so it doesn't move, because it needs to start where the camera starts, and the camera is the master start point for the whole thing. So we can move this around now and try and sync it up. So I can see where my clapping was over here. So we can use this to sort of line this all up. So you can visually see where it kind of is all together there. So I'm just going to zoom in enough that I can get it to start from the same spot. So that looks very, very similar right here. And then we can test it by just playing it back. And sometimes a little bit of mouth noise helps, like those just like. So now when I mute the camera sync, just like short little percussive things, now it sounds really tight, which is what we're going to end up with. So for the SM7, I've got some processing happening. I've put an equalizer, Pro Q3 with a low cut and a bit of a dynamic EQ at around 4400, because it just seemed to jump out in that range. The sound of my voice with that mic, it may be different for you, but that's how that is. And then there's a Pro C2, which is a compressor that's just taken the edge off. So let's play that a bit. Make sharp spikes that you can see, easy to line up when you're doing the sound after. So that's just doing minimal gain reduction, like a dB or two, just to like tighten it up. And then I have a dangerous back EQ from Plugin Alliance that right here, I've just turned up the high frequency. It's like an 18K shelf. And it's just giving a little bit of air onto the SM7 because it's a bit of a darker dynamic mic. So with that in mind, I also figured that I didn't need to do the screen cap audio for this example. Normally I do because I record the sound just for a lot of videos into the Zoom H6 and I don't record into Logic. But for this example, we're doing it a bit differently. So with this all in sync now, we just need to make sure that the voice and the bass are the right volume. And we can look at the details of how that works. So this is just like a... So for the bass, I've got it going through a Neural DSP Dark Glass Ultra, which is a really cool bass amp sim with a cab sim. And so that seems fine so far. Like a blues bass line. So the only thing that we're missing now, I would say, is like a limiter on the output. So we can just raise up the level a little bit. I'm going to turn on some oversampling, and then I'm going to lower the output to -1 so that we've got a bit of headroom. And then we can just turn up the gain to taste. So let's back up a bit. This footage, and we can look at the details of how that works. So this is just like a blues bass line. So, you know, this is to taste. When I'm actually doing this for real, I'll spend a bit more time trying to make sure I've got the volumes correct, like between the elements and also the overall volume. But for this example, I think that's probably just good enough for today. So now, if we're happy with this, I'll usually lock these down too to make sure that those don't get messed up. We just need to export the audio out of here, and I'm going to export it at 16-bit 48K and to a WAV file. And so this is called audio mix. And so now we just need to wait for it to bounce. And then after that, we can import this just left-right sound mix from Logic into Final Cut and replace the sound from the camera and anything else with just the good sound. Okay, so now that we've got our audio mix, I'm going to import that into our Final Cut session. And then we can line it up. So let's see here, how to make a YouTube video. Okay, so this should line up. And I was like, it's complicated. Do you have a... Okay, so now if I turn off camera, the sound from the camera audio, it sounds nice and tight, and it's also in sync with the video. And do you have a audio interface? Do you have software? It's a lot of things. So we do need to do some color grade on this video because it's C-Log footage from Canon. And I'll just show you a very simple way to like sort of set that up. So we've got the color wheels, and I've got the view here that we're looking at the Luma, I believe, yeah. And we want to see the blacks lower to 0 here, and then the other part I'm going to stretch up closer to around 100 as a starting point. So you kind of do it to taste. So I'm lowering the shadows, and then I'm going to increase the highlights somewhere around there. And then I'm going to increase the global saturation just a little bit. And then the next thing we can do is go to the color curves and adjust the contrast of it. So I'm going to pull down a bit here, And I'm going to go up a little bit here. So if we turn that off, turn it on again, it's a subtle difference, but it gives you a bit more contrast. So yeah, I think that looks pretty good. And then the other thing I think we need to import is the screen capture. Actually, no, we've already got that in there. I just need to drag it down there. So this is our screen capture. So now I just need to sync that up, and then we can turn its audio down here. So let's zoom in a bit. It looks like it lines up right around here.
Hello, hello.
Where I say hello.
Hello, 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 hello.
Yeah. Okay, and then
make sharp spikes.
So now that's duplicated. So I'm going to turn off the sound on the screen capture, and then I'm going to drag it down here. And now we should be able to seamlessly cut between these two shots, and they're going to be in sync with each other. So,
okay, so the next thing is the microphone, and
so if we cut to where I'm going to cut to where the bass is. So you can see the bass being recorded on the screen.
Like a blues bass line.
And it's now nice and in sync, and now you can edit this. I think that's it, which is crazy. So yeah, that was very overwhelming for me to try and manage all of these technical things to be able to make a video about making a video. But I hope that it makes sense in the end when I edit it all together, and I hope that it will be useful for you if this is something that you're interested in doing. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.